Hey everyone, ProWresBlog here, www.prowresblog.blogspot.com. We're going to review WWE Monday Night Raw from December 28th, 2020. We started out the show with a graphic for Brody Lee, who died this weekend. To kick things off, Drew McIntyre came out with a sword. When he put the sword into the stage, all these flames shot up. I thought that was kind of cool. Drew McIntyre talked about what happened last week, where Sheamus ended up screwing over Keith Lee and attacking him. Um, Apparently, he had made a promise to Keith Lee that Sheamus wouldn't do anything, and then he did. And McIntyre mentioned that it was his and Sheamus's dream to fight for the title together someday, and they may just do that next week. But Lee ended up coming on, and he took it as that Drew knew what was going to happen and let it happen, and so he was mad at them. He said he might screw him over too. Um, Lee and Sheamus argued, and then Sheamus had a bad brogue kick and then another one on him to end the segment. During the segment again, since Lee and Sheamus were down there, Drew said, "Hey, why don't you two fight?" And then the ref came down and the match started. I don't know when this started, but apparently, if you're a WWE wrestler, I mean, you could just make matches happen on the fly, and it's no problem at all. New thing. But why would you waste if you had that power? Why would you waste it on stupid stuff like having Sheamus and Keith Lee fight when you could just book yourself into really good title matches or things like that? And why wouldn't everyone do that? But yet it only seems that certain people have the power to do it. So I don't know. It's stupid. I don't really get that trope. So we had Sheamus and Keith Lee to start the show. The winner gets a WWE title shot versus Drew next week. Um, this was kind of a weird match. They really did stiff each other, and they really hit some good shots in there. Keith Lee hit a right hand that looked like there was no pulling on that. Lee did a horrible belly to belly on Sheamus over the top rope that you could tell Sheamus mostly did by himself. Um, Keith Lee was outside, and Sheamus dove on him from the top. Came back in, and Sheamus dove on him from the inside. And this time Keith Lee just like shouldered him off when he tried, and so he landed good. Keith Lee did a real slow crossbody onto Sheamus, and it looked real stiff, but it didn't look good at all. The two headbutted each other in the chest, and Keith Lee ended up winning this one with a spirit bomb. Commercials ate up a lot of this, which was part of the problem. So I don't know. I always feel like I'm missing a lot of the match when there's commercials, and especially for me, I don't watch that much WWE usually. So all these commercials are just it's like, wow, why would you do this? Elias and Riker were in the back playing music. It's really hard to hear on a lot of these backstage segments because they use that fake crowd noise, and at least to me, it's really hard to hear what's going on half the time. We next had the Miz versus Grand Metalik. This was a pretty short one. Grand Metalik got the upset here. He had Miz out and he walked the top rope and then did a moonsault onto him on the outside, which was really cool. Then he walked the middle rope like Kato Kung Lee used to do, or excuse me, like Super Kendo used to do in Lucha Libre, and he ended up winning this one with a drop kick right after. The Metallic pulled off the upset. Miz was real shocked, and then we went to the back again. Elias and Riker were in the back, and then Omos and AJ were back there. AJ said he was talking to someone but couldn't hear due to Elias's music, and he said Elias was not Johnny Cash. Elias said AJ couldn't win at TLC, and AJ said he should face him tonight and break his fingers so he can't play guitar anymore. Um, Omos sized up Riker here. I didn't like that because, at least in NXT, Riker looked like a really big dude, and he looks just like anybody else here. They had Dana Brooke versus Shayna Baszler. This really wasn't much. Shayna won with a choke. You know, we had Alexa's Playground. So many questions about this and why people are acting this way and how it works and yada yada yada. She asked us if we all liked the Playground. She said she hadn't seen Fiend since the Inferno match, and she also said the Fiend loves Hulk Hogan, which was weird. That Fiend would be looking forward to seeing Hulk Hogan on Legends Night. She invited Orton down, but Orton didn't come despite his music playing. She tried it again, and still nothing happened. Then we cut to the back with Orton in the funhouse. Orton destroyed the place and beat up the dolls. And Alexa challenged Orton in the ring. For what? Well, nobody knew, but she challenged him in the ring and he accepted. So that was going to be the main segment for tonight. Charlotte was interviewed in the back. She was asked if she was ready for tonight and ready for Nia. She said she was. Asuka then came out in New Year's gear and said Nia is not ready for Flair. We then went into AJ Styles with Omos versus Elias with Riker. They did some okay stuff here. Elias grabbed AJ's wrist and then lifted him up with the other hand in a gorilla press, which was pretty cool. He hit a big knee when we came back from break on AJ. Elias walked the top rope a la Undertaker, and Riker went for a shot on AJ when AJ was outside, but Omos backed him down, and Riker really sold it and looked like a total punk, which, for that kind of gimmick where he's supposed to be this big, strong bodyguard guy, it just doesn't work for me. AJ ended up winning this one with a flying elbow. Again, this got cut in half by a commercial, and there wasn't a real story or anything to this. But I guess the action was okay and all. Just, if you want anything more, it just wasn't happening here. We got a clip from Raw Talk last week, which is the show that goes on after Raw. I'm never watching it, so 3 hours of Raw is way too much. I'm not interested in the fourth hour. I don't care what they're selling. During it, Ricochet said he doesn't want to be involved with Retribution, and he may have to try something different. Retribution all came out with Ali. Why is this allowed? It's like, if this is a real match, it's like, are you really going to fight someone who is 4 of his best friends there, and who are known to do all kinds of stuff outside? I wouldn't. But the ref didn't care. Nobody cared. Even Ricochet didn't care. Ricochet did Titan from CMLL's handstand into the head scissor spot. Ali did a dive on him while Ricochet was laying down on the floor from the top rope. And I guarantee you that dive hurt Ali pretty much more than it hurt Ricochet. The big highlight here was Ricochet had Ali down on all fours behind him. Ricochet moonsaulted over him and then German suplexed him, which was a really cool spot. This match was a mess, though, because Retribution pulled out Ali or Ricochet when one of them was trying to get pinned, and that didn't make sense. Like, why wouldn't that result in a DQ? But the ref saw it, he didn't care. And then Retribution was all involved in the finish. Everyone was trying to get stuff on AJ, and again, the match just continued on like nothing else. For the finish, Ricochet did a shooting star press, but Ali got his knees up and he hit the Koji clutch to win it. Nia Jax and Shayna did an interview. Nia says her New Year's resolutions are to end Charlotte and to stop her from getting back on top, get the tag titles back, and to enter the Women's Royal Rumble. I mean, back in the day, you had to do something to enter the Royal Rumble. Now you just have to say, hey, I'm going to be in it. And it doesn't make any sense because, there's only 30 men or so, or 30 women or whatever allowed in it. So, you can't possibly have that many people in. So why aren't the crappy wrestlers and the people, the jobbers and all that, why aren't they entering themselves in the Royal Rumble? You know what I mean? It's like, but yet they don't, and we're not supposed to question or ask any of that. McIntyre was interviewed. He said he's excited for Legends Night next week, and he's looking forward to seeing Lee step up for their title match. He said Lee can beat anyone he wants. So why would Drew want this one? You know what I mean? Like, I get that he's a face and all, and he's supposed to want challenges and so forth, but, I mean, you're a wrestler. Your goal is to keep your title. Why do you want to fight someone who has a good chance of beating you? It doesn't make any sense. Next, we had Charlotte Flair with Asuka versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler on the outside. This wasn't anything too good. Charlotte hit some real good stiff shots. I think Charlotte got messed up here. She was going for the figure 4 near the turnbuckles, and Nia pushed her back and hit her head right off the buckles, and I don't know. It just didn't look clean. It didn't look like it was supposed to happen that way, and it looked like it actually hurt. Charlotte had Nia up for the figure 4 here. Then Shayna came from behind and put the choke on her for the DQ. Not a good finish. Angel Garza was interviewed. He said this year had his ups and downs. He had a rose, but he wouldn't say who the rose was for. And then R-Truth and all the people who wanted the 24/7 title were chasing him. And they ended up knocking over his rose, and it got destroyed. And then he gave it to the Charlie Caruso, the announcer, anyway. And he said, it's the thought that counts. Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy met up with Kofi and Woods. They all celebrated Big E winning the IC title on SmackDown, which I also reviewed on my blog with pics and gifs if you want to take a look. Riddle came up with all these nicknames like the Little Bronies, the Positively Hard Bros, and even Hardy had suggested the Rain Bros, but the New Day had left by then, so because they got tired of all the stupid names. Alright, so next match we had the New Day, Matt Riddle and Jeff Hardy versus the Hurt Business in a 4-on-4. Basically, Riddle got beat down for the vast majority of this match, and I don't know, it wasn't any kind of super exciting beat down. There wasn't a lot of highlights of it, but he got beat down. He did a leapfrog on Lashley, and Lashley caught him and suplexed him. Kofi did a dive onto Lashley. Hardy did a dive from the top rope onto MVP. And in the finishing stretch, everyone got in and was doing their finishers. MVP hit a real nice boot on Kofi, and then Riddle high kicked him. Lashley ended up hitting the full Nelson on Hardy for the win. I don't know, the finish felt a little bit rushed here, but this wasn't anything too special. It wasn't bad or anything, just not that super exciting. So in the back, we found out last week that Miz was going to challenge losing his Money in the Bank briefcase since Morrison had cashed it in and he didn't. And a lawyer or somebody came through and they gave Miz back his Money in the Bank briefcase. So he got it back. Him and Morrison celebrated. We then went to the final segment of the show, which was Alexa's Playground with Randy Orton. This was a weird segment. Orton wanted to know where the Fiend is. Bliss said she didn't really know. She had a gift box at ringside, a present, and she brought it in the ring and opened it. It was gasoline in a can. And she ended up pouring it all over herself and trying to get Randy to light the match that she had and to light her on fire. I guess she wanted to join the Fiend and see what it felt like for him to be burned. Dared Orton to do it, called him names, and he wouldn't do it. Then towards the end of the segment, the lights started going on and someone was playing with him. And Orton finally had the match and he had lit it and it looked like he was going to do something, but then the show just went to black, so we got screwed on that one. And that was the end of Raw. So overall, not a real good Raw. 3 hours is never that good. But there were just a lot of bad finishes, The main event segment was nothing. It's just a real lack of star power, I mean, maybe it's just me because I've been away for a while, but, it's just, like, the big people on this show are, like, The Miz, Keith Lee, Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton. I don't know. That just doesn't do that much for me. Maybe it's me, but... it's a far cry from a couple years ago where you'd get much better main events. But that's how it is. Not a good one. I wouldn't check this one out. But I would recommend going to my website where you can see all the pics and GIFs of the show, and then you don't have to. So once again, you can check that out at ProWresBlog.blogspot.com. And I'll see you then.